Am I the asshole for telling my daughter's boyfriend to go home? I picked up my daughter's boyfriend Ron, not his name, from his house Friday night so we could watch a Christmas movie together. My daughter Molly, not her name, and I had already had dinner at a restaurant after Christmas shopping, but he hadn't. So I offered to make him dinner. Ron wanted to prepare something on his own, so I told him he could use our kitchen. He's done this before, is responsible and uses our equipment with care. By the way, they are both 17. We get home and he walks into the kitchen, which was a mess, and that's my fault. I hadn't had time to clean it up after cooking dinner the night before. Ron says he can't work like this and proceeds to clean up the kitchen with my daughter's help. I left the kitchen to do something else. A few minutes later I walk into the kitchen to make tea and hear my daughter say the mess is due to my procrastination. So I explain that I had been up since 3 a.m. I worked the early shift and hadn't had time to clean the kitchen because I had other things to take care of and I had taken her Christmas shopping after work. She asked if I was done. I went to the living room to watch TV. Minutes later Ron goes outside with the small compost bucket for kitchen scraps to dump in the large bin provided by the city. He walks back in complaining about the gunk stuck in the bottom which did not fall out. It's a mixture of coffee grounds and bacon fat, so it's hard to shake out. He tells me he's going to hose it off outside. As he's leaving I remember that the outdoor hose is off because it's winter, so I yell, "Come back, the hose won't work, it's turned off." My daughter tells me not to yell and I tell her to tell him the hose won't work, it's winter. Note this is the second time in a week that he's expressed disgust at our kitchen scraps bucket, so I'm getting irked about it because I take it as a criticism whether he means it that way or not. Also, the fact of his parents' kitchen always being clean is something that he and my daughter have made a point of mentioning a few times. Ron returns with the bucket and Molly washes it out in the sink. When she's done washing it he comes to the living room holding the bucket, explaining that he's going to put parchment baking paper in the bottom to prevent the gunk from sticking to the bottom again. I interrupt him and ask him to please not tell me about it because I'm not interested. He continues and I ask him again not to tell me, I don't want to know. He has a puzzled expression on his face and starts again. I tell him to stop talking about it and if he cannot stop to go home because I don't want to hear about it. He stops and leaves the living room to join Molly in her room. About 15 minutes later Ron says goodnight and leaves. Molly has asked me to apologize to Ron and I'm having a hard time convincing myself I was in the wrong. Info: does Molly have any chores? She was helping Ron, but before that, she waited for you to clean a kitchen and criticized you for not doing it. Yes, why didn't Molly help clean up the kitchen the night before if OP cooked the dinner? If you had to work at 3 a.m. why didn't your daughter think to clean up since she's the one who wanted company over? When I was younger my mom never had to clean the house, especially since she was the only one working to provide for my siblings and she was paying all of the bills by herself. We made sure the house was spotless by the time she got off of work. You're the asshole. There is a problem. He offered to help fix it and was basically asking if it was okay because it's not his house, it's yours. And you blew up at him with some passive-aggressive BS. He was trying to help, and you didn't want to hear it because I presume you feel belittled, threatened, insulted by someone thinking you're not being clean enough. Sounds to me like your kitchen really is worse than you think, and they're trying to give you nudges in the right direction, and you're getting defensive over it. I think you owe them both an apology. Not the asshole. Everyone here is missing a valuable point. OP didn't ask Ron to clean, and TBH the way he did it was super freaking rude after he had been invited to make himself something there in the first place. If he wanted a clean kitchen, the nice thing to do would have been to do it quietly. And you also don't tell someone else how to run things, but that's just an immature 17 years old. I keep my house spotless anyway. BC, I don't have kids yet, but if someone came in my house and just started to clean without asking, I would be pretty upset. Not the asshole. Who does he think he is? Also, your daughter disrespecting you while SHE could have cleaned that kitchen too. Not the asshole. For all of Ron's good intentions, he's a guest in your home. That was not the time for the discussion. Your daughter undermining you most disrespectfully by telling Ron that you procrastinated maybe cleaning the kitchen after you cook can be her chore to help out from now on, so the person who's also bringing in the paycheck to keep the lights on you can get a break. Not the asshole. Going to someone's house and expecting to be fed dinner if you weren't specifically invited for dinner is rude as hell. Going to someone's house and expecting to be fed knowing that they had already eaten dinner is also rude as hell. Going to someone's house and talking about how dirty it is super rude. Continuing in someone else's home when they've told you to stop is super rude. Your daughter presumably ate dinner last night and she's the one who wanted her boyfriend over, so her cleaning up and helping out around the house she lived in isn't unreasonable. Not the asshole. Why is your daughter not helping clean up the kitchen on an evening, as I assume she ate the meal you cooked? You told Ron to stop and he persisted. If he doesn't like using your kitchen, then he should have eaten at home. He and your daughter are entitled and ill-mannered. What chores does Sally do around the house, or does she just laze about and critique your housekeeping? Next time Ron wants to come over, suggest he walk as you're bussing lining the scrap bin. And I don't know why people think you are the R. The guy is old enough to know when he should let things go. You don't keep your kitchen as clean as his. Okay, he can work around it, or just quietly clean it up. He didn't have to rub it in your face that your kitchen is filthy and how he's having to clean it. Him also being condescending and telling you how he's doing something a certain way like his teaching you was also rude. You are only human, and you already went out of your way to pick him up for your daughter after you already were doing a lot for her too. You're the asshole. You allowed him to clean up your mess, and he just tried to offer a suggestion to the compost bin issue. If you didn't want him to, then maybe you should have cleaned it yourself. I think it's odd that you just sat down whilst he cleaned your messy kitchen. Both of them need to apologize to you. It's your house, you are the one letting them use your kitchen to cook food that you've bought. I'm assuming that last part, but since there's no mention of him ever bringing groceries, it seems fair. You don't need to explain to them why your kitchen is messy. It's not their place to chastise you for your kitchen not being up to their standards. Not the asshole. Honestly, I feel like Ron was just trying to let you know what he was up to so that firstly, he had permission, and secondly, maybe he thought you would appreciate the tip. As a 17-year-old myself, that's the only way I could imagine he decided to persist afterward, like he was just convincing himself that you would appreciate him telling you what he was doing, because I might have done the same thing in his situation. It's probably a good thing I'm seeing this so I know how to act around adults. But, if anything, your daughter is an H. Ntar. Daughter is 17. Make the kitchen her job, and any privileges are based on how well she keeps up with it. And that young man was going to feed himself with your food and using your appliances, dishes and power. He should have cleaned up the kitchen before and after as a thank you. Daughter and BF owe you an apology. Not the asshole. You've been to work, run errands with your daughter, and your home is your time to rest. He seems like he has a lot of opinions about life and how things should be, considering he's lived so little of it. Maybe he should have gotten some takeout before coming over to your house. He and your daughter are rude, but pretend to be helpful. Don't apologize. He can stay mad at his house and your daughter can continue to side with him. Enjoy your life in your home that you pay for. They can keep their opinions to themselves. Not the asshole hanging their mom. Eventually, these little know everything, know how to do everything better adult wannabes get their opportunity to show you how they can do better. And you'll console them and remind them that sometimes in life we get so many things on our plate that some things slide. And you will also tell them it's okay to be tired. It's okay if something slides sometimes. It's okay not to be perfect.